The Middle Ages, a time that lasted hundreds of years, without telephones, without the internet, without electric light, where the fate of man was determined by the earth, by God, and by the sword. It was not a fairy tale, but a real world full of dust, sweat, tears, and blood. Life was simple, harsh, and sometimes desperate. But in that darkness, people learned to survive. They worked, they loved, they believed, and they fought, not to live well, but just to survive. If you were born a farmer, your life begins and ends in the fields, from sunrise to sunset. You plow the land, reap the harvest, and pray for no drought or crop failure. Further away, there are low terraced fields where farmers bend over to plow by hand. There are no machines, just buffaloes, hoes, and a dilapidated wooden cart. Children do not go to school, they follow their mothers to the fields, digging the soil, chasing birds, or lying on the banks of cool streams. No machines. Every bundle of rice, every radish, every bag of flour is the result of calloused hands and a hunchback. You work from dawn to dusk, in exchange for a meal of thin porridge and a bed of straw. In the castle, the lords lived in luxury, eating and drinking gold and silver, using swords instead of law. The king gave the land, but it was the knights who kept order with blood. Every night, in the cold stone hall, is where lavish parties take place. On the table, roast chicken, whole roasted pork, honey-filled cakes, red wine poured into silver cups, gentlemen wearing silk, velvet, ladies with high hair, long dresses sweeping the floor, holding peacock feather fans. Behind the glamour is iron discipline. In the training grounds, the lords' soldiers train every day with swords, spears, shields, and bows. They are more than just soldiers. They are the fences that protect the power of the nobles and sometimes tools of war. A boy born into a noble family will begin to learn horse riding and sword fighting from a young age. When he grows up, he will be knighted and kneel before the Lord, receiving a sword as a symbol of honor. The Middle Ages were a time of faith where God was not only present in the heart, but present in every meal, every harvest, every death, and every dream of man. The church is the center of every village, every city, not just a place of prayer. The church is the heart of the community, of justice, of school, of infirmary, and sometimes a place to escape from the darkness of life. Step inside and you'll find yourself in another world. Colored light from the holy glass shines down on the cold stone floor. The scent of incense spreads. The priest wears a gold-embroidered vestment, his voice reciting Latin prayers echoing like a call from heaven. From birth, medieval people lived under the guidance of the church, baptism as infants, confession when they sinned, attend mass every Sunday, and burial under the supervision of a priest when they died. The great cathedrals of Chartres, Reims, Notre Dame, not just architectural works, but symbols of faith reaching to heaven. Thousands of people have made pilgrimages, walking for weeks just to kneel before the statue of the saint and pray for a miracle. Religion is not just a medieval belief. It is everything. It is a moral compass, a social order, a hope for a better world after death. Though they live in poverty, war, or disease, they still look up. To seek the light from heaven. No phones, no internet. No cars, no TV. Daily life in the Middle Ages was a series of simple, austere, but extremely realistic days. Lunch was usually just hard bread dipped in salt, a little cheese if you were lucky, sometimes vegetable soup in a clay pot. The Middle Ages ate simply. They believed that eating well was not as good as living morally. No comfort, no luxury, but that daily life is close, simple, honest, is the foundation of an era, and is a mirror reflecting what is truly important to people. The Middle Ages were not all green fields and church bells. It was also a time of constant war and men in iron armor, living and dying for honor, the knights. The Middle Ages were a time of warring lords, warring kingdoms, and crusades burning distant lands. When war broke out, knights donned their armor, mounted their steeds, raised their clan banners, and charged into the battle without mercy. On the battlefield, knights are not gods. They fall of their horses, they bleed, They scream in their 30 kilograms armor, but what keeps them up is the oath of honor. Protect the weak, be loyal to the king, fight for justice. In the 11th, 13th centuries, thousands of knights from Europe left their homelands, carrying crosses on their cloaks, and headed for the Holy Land. They believed that fighting for God would bring eternal paradise. Those who survive and return will be honored as heroes, but many leave their bones in foreign lands, without graves or names, and mothers and wives can only pray every night for their souls. As the sun sets behind the trees, the light fades from every hut. The medieval night is not just darkness, but a realm of fear, of prayer, and a spiritual world that always exists around people. In the Middle Ages, people were afraid of the dark. There was no electric light, only flickering candles and small oil lamps for them. Night was the time when demons were rampant, when wandering souls returned. Before going to sleep, the whole family kneels down to pray. May God protect us. May angels guard our sleep. Faith is the only weapon against darkness and the unseen. The medieval people believed in ghosts, unliberated souls, witches, and goblins. They said that on the night of the blood moon, the unjustly killed would come knocking on their doors and asking for forgiveness. When there is an epidemic, a bad harvest, or a stillborn baby, people say, there is a witch in the village. Women who live alone and quietly are easily suspected of being witches, and at night they are taken away. No one dares to stop them. Spirituality is not just fear, it is also hope. Priests go from village to village to bless. Monasteries are places where the light of knowledge is kept, where people pray all night for humanity. The Middle Ages were not just a time of castles, knights, and ancient churches, but a time of famine, plague, war, and fear as long as the moonless night. When the sun sets, darkness covers not only the villages, but also the hearts of men. They live with the rumors of the devil living in the forest. They fear the eyes of the witch, the curse of a fallen priest, and they do not know if they will wake up tomorrow. In a bad harvest year, the whole village eats tree bark dot. In a plague year, the whole village digs graves for each other. When war breaks out, the men take up swords and go away forever. Those who remain are hungry, cold, waiting and wondering if hope is worth it anymore. They had no books, no doctors, no way out, but they had the only thing left: faith, a wooden cross of prayer every night, a belief that if you live today, tomorrow can be better. The Middle Ages were dark times indeed, but in that darkness, people learned to persevere. They built churches from the ashes. They preserved knowledge in small monasteries, and they never stopped believing that the light would come again if they did not fall. Perhaps history will always remember the Middle Ages as a dark time, but in that darkness, people did not just fear, they survived, they loved, and they hoped. They have no light, but they have fire in their hearts. They have no map, but they know the way through suffering is to go together. The era is gone, but the lesson remains. In the darkest days, we need to keep the light within us. Even a small candle is enough to light the way for a whole generation to move forward.